started when Serena and her younger brother, Marcus, moved into the old Victorian house on Maple Street. The faded sign on the gate read 13, its black iron numerals barely clinging to the crumbling brick. Their parents had bought it cheaply, too cheaply, but to Serena it felt like a gamble, a new start, after the city apartment they left behind. The neighborhood was quiet and genteel, lawns mowed, hedges trimmed, neighbors who nodded politely. But house number 13 carried weight, an uneasy hush the moment they crossed the threshold. From the first night, Serena felt watched. She lay in bed and heard creaking floorboards in the hallway, doors opening, as if someone wandered in darkness. Marcus, age 10, claimed to see a pale figure peering through his bedroom window on the second floor. Their parents dismissed many of the complaints as childish nightmares or the sound of an old house settling. But Serena knew something was wrong. On the third evening, while their father was away on business and their mother out visiting neighbors, Serena went to explore the attic. She ascended the narrow stairs and entered a dusty loft filled with old trunks, moth-eaten furniture, and a large portrait leaning against the wall, draped in a moth-eaten cloth. She pulled it away and recoiled. The painting depicted a stern man in Victorian garb, his eyes seeming almost too alive. Beneath the portrait was a small plaque, Edward Mortimer, 1892. A sudden gust of wind slammed shut the attic door behind her. The lights flickered. Serena felt a cold breath across her neck and heard a voice whisper, "Leave now." She bolted, fumbling the light switch, stumbled down the stairs. When she burst into the living room, Marcus was there, staring wide-eyed. "He's here," Marcus said tremulously. "In my room again." They ran to his bedroom. The window was wide open, the curtains billowing though there was no breeze outside. On the floor lay muddy footprints that didn't match any shoes they owned. The wallpaper in one corner was torn off, revealing old wallpaper beneath, something with a pattern of black roses. That night, Serena lay awake, reading up on hauntings and local legends using her phone. In the nearby town library, she had found references to an Edward Mortimer, a tragic recluse known to have disappeared mysteriously in the 1890s. Rumor said he drowned himself in the old pond behind the house after losing his family in a fire. Some said his spirit wandered, seeking vengeance or solace. The locals had barred the house for a time. That's why for decades it sat empty, growing decrepit, until the Mortimer family trust sold it off. The next morning, their mother insisted on hosting a welcome tea for neighbors to help everyone settle. Their neighbors were polite but distant. Mrs. Caldwell, elderly and sharp-eyed, whispered to Serena in the kitchen, "You'll regret buying that place. House number 13 has history, worse than you know." Before Serena could ask more, Mrs. Caldwell retreated. Later in the garden, Marcus caught sight of a cloaked silhouette in the upstairs window and cried out, but when they rushed back inside, nothing was there. Days passed, and the haunting intensified. Doors slammed, lights flickered, voices whispered, and cold patches followed them from room to room. Serena began having vivid dreams. Edward Mortimer calling her name, urging her to locate something hidden. In one vision, she saw a small key, ornate, rusted, lying beneath a floorboard under the staircase. One evening, driven by desperation, Serena decided to pry up the floorboards beneath the base of the staircase. She grabbed her toolkit, and, while Marcus held a flashlight, she removed the boards and gasped. There lay a small iron box sealed with the initials EM etched on the lid. She forced it open. Inside was an old journal and a folded letter. The journal was bound in leather brittle. Inside, entries in Edward's shaky hand described guilt, grief, and obsession. He had believed his family's spirits had been trapped in the house after the fire, and that he needed to release them. The final sentence ran, "I shall bury my own death in the pond. Let my spirit guard them until someone unbinds their chains." The letter was addressed to the heir of Mortimer House, urging that someone find and release their souls from the binding spell Edward had wrought, hidden somewhere on the property, possibly beneath the pond itself. Serena's heart pounded. She shoved the journal and letter into her bag. That night, the haunting grew loud. Marcus screamed that shadows dragged him into the hallway. Serena bolted out of bed, chased the sound to the foyer, found the chandelier swinging violently, dust falling in plumes. She cried out, "I'll do it, I'll set you free." A voice cracked, "Find me beneath the water." Then silence. They decided to investigate the pond behind the house. It was overgrown, stagnant, edged with broken stone. The moon was full, casting ghosts on the water. Serena brought a lantern and the journal. She read the final entry aloud. My death binds theirs. I cast the incantation at the water's heart, burying my body so that time may never wear away the chains. She waded into shallow parts of the pond. The water was icy. At the center, she felt something solid underfoot, an old stone slab. She and Marcus, trembling, heaved it aside. Beneath, wrapped in algae and roots, was Edward's skeletal remains, strapped loosely to an iron chain leading into the earth. The chain went downward into a hidden cavity. Marcus cried, "What do we do?" Serena opened the journal to the spell page and read aloud the incantation instructions. The words were medieval, archaic, twisted, but Serena managed to recite. The earth trembled, cold wind roared, and the pond's water churned. The chain glowed faintly, then snapped. The skeleton crumbled, dissolving into particles that drifted upward like ashes. A soft sigh echoed through the night. Suddenly, the air grew warm, the pond stilled. Serena and Marcus fell to their knees, soaked, exhausted. Upstairs, lights flickered and then stabilized. The oppressive heaviness vanished. They made their way back into the house. In the living room, the portrait of Edward Mortimer glowed faintly before fading. His stern eyes softened. In the silence that followed, Serena whispered, "You're free now." In the weeks after, the family experienced calm, no ghosts, no whispers. The house felt lighter, warmer. Serena and Marcus grew more confident. Neighbors visited without fear. Mrs. Caldwell approached Serena and murmured, "I see the burden's gone." Serena smiled, relieved. The house, once a haunting, had become home. Yet sometimes at night, Serena would lie awake, imagining a distant whisper, "Thank you." But she never heard it again. House number 13, once dreadful, now stood as a place of peace.